The bedroom door flew open with a loud bang. Jin-Ho stood frozen in the doorway, his expensive black suit still perfect, his leather shoes shining. But his face showed pure shock. His mouth hung open. His eyes were wide like he'd seen a ghost. There, in the middle of their huge bedroom, was his wife Min-Seo. But she wasn't alone. And then he heard it, a whisper so soft but so clear. "Be quiet." It came from Amara, their maid from Nigeria. Her dark hand was raised, one finger pressed against her lips. Her eyes were serious, almost scared. But Jin-Ho couldn't understand what he was seeing. Why would Amara tell him to be quiet? This was his house. His bedroom. His wife. Where are you watching this from? Drop your country in the comments. And if you want to know what happens next, you better hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to get crazy. Let me take you back to where this all started. 3 hours earlier, Jin-Ho had been sitting in his big office downtown. He was the boss of the Changsu group. That's what people called his organization. Some people whispered he was in the mafia, but Jin-Ho just called himself a businessman. His office was on the top floor of a glass building. Everything in it was expensive, the black leather chairs, the huge wooden desk, the paintings on the walls. Jin-Ho liked expensive things. It showed people he had power. That morning, he was supposed to meet with some men from Japan. They wanted to do business with him. But at 11 o'clock, his phone buzzed. "Boss, the meeting is cancelled," said his assistant, Taeyong. "The Japanese men's flight was delayed. They can't come until tomorrow." Jin-Ho leaned back in his chair and smiled a little. He never smiled much, but today was different. "Good," he said. "I'll go home early then. Maybe surprise Min-Seo." Taeyong looked nervous. "Are you sure, boss? We have other things too." "I said I'm going home." Jin-Ho's voice went cold. When he used that voice, nobody argued. Jin-Ho and Min-Seo had been married for 5 years. She was beautiful, long black hair, smooth skin, and a smile that could make any man weak. That's why Jin-Ho had chosen her. He saw her at a fancy restaurant, and 2 months later they were married. But lately something felt different. Min-Seo used to wait for him at the door when he came home. She used to cook his favorite foods. She used to smile at him with real happiness in her eyes. Now she is always tired, always on her phone, always busy with shopping or meeting friends. Jin-Ho wasn't stupid. He'd been suspicious for weeks. That's why he'd secretly installed cameras around the house. In the living room, the kitchen, even the hallway. But not in the bedroom. He thought even he shouldn't invade that private space. Maybe that was his mistake. As his driver took him home through the busy Seoul streets, Jin-Ho felt his stomach tighten. Something inside him, that little voice that had kept him alive in his dangerous business, was screaming at him. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. The drive took 30 minutes. Their house was in the rich part of the city, behind big gates and tall walls. It was a modern home, all glass and white stone, with a garden that Min-Seo never actually used. Jin-Ho told his driver to park outside the gates. "Wait here," he said quietly. "I'll call you when I need you." He walked to the front door, his footsteps quiet on the stone path. The house looked peaceful. Too peaceful. He used his key and opened the door slowly, not making a sound. Jin-Ho was good at being quiet. He'd learned that skill years ago when his life depended on sneaking up on enemies. The house was silent. No TV sounds. No music. No Min-Seo's voice talking on the phone like usual. He checked the living room first. Empty. Then the kitchen. Also empty. But he noticed something strange. There were 2 coffee cups on the counter. One had Min-Seo's pink lipstick on it. The other cup was clean. Who was drinking coffee with her? His heart started beating faster. Jin-Ho moved toward the stairs, his expensive shoes making tiny sounds on the marble floor. That's when he heard it. A voice. No, 2 voices. Coming from upstairs. From the bedroom. One voice was definitely Min-Seo's, soft and nervous. The other voice was deeper, calmer. It was Amara, their maid. Jin-Ho had hired Amara 6 months ago. She was from Nigeria, tall and strong, with skin like dark chocolate and eyes that always seemed to notice everything. She was smart too. She spoke Korean almost perfectly, plus English and her own language from back home. Min-Seo had wanted to hire her. "She's professional," Min-Seo had said. "And she minds her own business." Now Jin-Ho wondered, had that been a warning sign he'd missed? He climbed the stairs, 1 step at a time, not making a single sound. His hand moved to his side where he always kept a gun. He didn't pull it out, but just touching it made him feel more in control. The voices got louder as he got closer to the bedroom door. Are you sure about this? That was Min-Seo's voice. She sounded scared. Yes, ma'am. But we must hurry. If he finds out, that was Amara. If he finds out, he'll kill us both. Min-Seo's voice was shaking now. Jin-Ho's blood went ice cold. Kill them? What were they doing? His mind raced with thoughts. Was Min-Seo cheating on him? But with Amara? That didn't make sense. Or was Amara helping Min-Seo cheat with someone else? Where was the man? Was he hiding in the bedroom? Jin-Ho's hand gripped his gun. If there was another man in his bedroom, touching his wife, that man wouldn't leave the house alive. He reached the bedroom door. It was closed but not locked. Through the tiny gap at the bottom, he could see shadows moving inside. He took a deep breath. Then he kicked the door open with all his strength. Bang! The door hit the wall so hard it made a hole in the expensive wallpaper. And that's when Jin-Ho saw it. Min-Seo was standing in the middle of the room, wearing a simple white dress. Her face went completely white when she saw him. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Amara was next to her, holding something in her hands. She quickly hid it behind her back. But that's not what shocked Jin-Ho the most. No. What shocked him was the thing on the bed. On their bed. It was covered with a white sheet, but Jin-Ho could see the shape underneath. It was long. Maybe 6 feet long. And it was the exact shape of a human body. Jin-Ho. Min-Seo finally found her voice. You're home early. Jin-Ho couldn't move. His brain was trying to understand what he was seeing. His eyes went from Min-Seo to Amara to the thing on the bed. Was that a dead body? Had his wife killed someone? What? Jin-Ho started to speak, his voice rough and dangerous. That's when Amara stepped forward, her hand still raised, her finger pressed to her lips. Be quiet, she whispered, her dark eyes locked on Jin-Ho's face. Please, Mr. Jin-Ho. You must be quiet, or everything will be ruined. Jin-Ho's hand moved to his gun. You're telling me to be quiet? In my house. His voice was getting louder, and Amara's eyes grew wide with fear. But not fear of him. It was fear of something else. Please. Min-Seo rushed forward, her hands reaching for him. Jin-Ho, I can explain. Just don't make any noise. Please. There were tears running down her beautiful face. Real tears. Jin-Ho had seen fake tears before. In his business, people cried fake tears all the time to manipulate him. But these tears? These were real. Min-Seo was terrified. Explain. Jin-Ho looked at the covered body on the bed. Explain why there's a dead body in our bedroom? SHHHH. Both women said it together, so loud it was almost a shout. Amara moved closer to him, and Jin-Ho noticed she was shaking. Mr. Jin-Ho, please. He's not dead. He's sleeping. And he cannot wake up. Not yet. Not until. Jin-Ho roared. There's a man in my bed? He pulled out his gun and pointed it at the covered body. His finger was on the trigger. His whole body was shaking with rage. Min-Seo screamed and threw herself between Jin-Ho and the bed, her arms spread wide. No. Jin-Ho, no. You don't understand. If you shoot him, we're all dead. All 3 of us. Please, you have to listen to me. Jin-Ho had never seen his wife like this. Her eyes were wild. Her hands were shaking. She looked like a completely different person from the cold, distant woman she'd been for the past few weeks. Who is he? Jin-Ho's voice was quiet now, but that made it even more dangerous. Who is the man in our bed, Min-Seo? Who is he, and why will we die if I kill him? Min-Seo opened her mouth to answer. But before she could speak, they all heard it. A sound from downstairs. The front door opened. Footsteps. Heavy footsteps. More than one person. And a voice, a man's voice rough and angry, speaking Korean with a Chinese accent. Where is he? Where is my son? Min-Seo's face went from white to gray. She looked like she might faint. Amara grabbed Jin-Ho's arm, her fingers digging into his expensive suit. They found us, she whispered, and her voice was shaking. Mr. Jin-Ho, they found us. And if they find him, she pointed at the covered body on the bed. Everyone in this house will die tonight. Jin-Ho heard more footsteps on the stairs now. Heavy boots. At least 4 or 5 men, maybe more. And in that moment, looking at his terrified wife, his scared maid, and the mysterious body on his bed, Jin-Ho realized something. Whatever was happening, it was much, much bigger than a cheating wife. This was something that could destroy everything he'd built. The footsteps got closer. Upstairs, someone shouted. Check every room. Jin-Ho had maybe 30 seconds before those men reached the bedroom. 30 seconds to decide what to do. 30 seconds to choose. Jin-Ho moved fast. Years of living in danger had taught him one thing. When trouble comes, you don't freeze. You act. He grabbed Min-Seo's arm and pulled her toward the walk-in closet. Both of you in there. Now. But, Min-Seo started. Now. Jin-Ho's whisper was like a knife cutting through air. Amara didn't argue. She grabbed the edge of the white sheet covering the body and started pulling. Help me, she hissed at Min-Seo. The two women lifted the body, and Jin-Ho saw it was definitely a man, tall and thin, completely unconscious, and dragged him toward the closet. The footsteps were getting louder. Jin-Ho could hear them on the stairs now. Faster, he whispered. They got the man into the closet, just as Jin-Ho heard voices right outside the bedroom door. Check in here. Jin-Ho slammed the closet door shut and spun around. He straightened his tie, smoothed down his jacket, and put his gun back in its holder. Then he sat down on the bed, the same bed where that mysterious man had been lying seconds ago. He crossed his legs and pulled out his phone, pretending to read messages. The bedroom door burst open. 5 men rushed in, all wearing black suits, all holding guns. They looked around the room wildly, checking every corner. The leader was a short, thick man with a scar running down his left cheek. His eyes were cold and mean. Jin-Ho recognized that look. It was the look of a killer. Well, Jin-Ho said calmly, not looking up from his phone. Are you going to tell me why you're in my bedroom? Or should I just shoot you all now and ask questions later? The scarred man stared at Jin-Ho. You're Jin-Ho? The Chongsa boss. Obviously. Jin-Ho finally looked up, his face showing nothing but boredom. And you're in my house without permission. That usually ends badly for people. The scarred man hesitated. Even criminals in Korea knew about Jin-Ho. Attacking him in his own home was dangerous. We're looking for someone, the man finally said. A young man. Chinese. He's about 25 years old. We tracked him to this neighborhood. Do I look like I keep track of random Chinese men? Jin-Ho stood up slowly, and all 5 men tensed, their hands moving toward their guns. This is my house. My bedroom. And unless you want to start a war between your boss and me, I suggest you leave. Now. The scarred man's jaw tightened. Jin-Ho could see him thinking, calculating. We have information, the man said slowly. Information that says the boy came to this house. To this address. Jin-Ho's heart was pounding, but his face stayed calm. Your information is wrong. Now get out. We need to search. You need to leave. Jin-Ho's hand moved to his gun. Or we can settle this right now. Your choice. The silence was thick enough to cut with a knife. Finally, the scarred man nodded to his men. Let's go. Check the other houses on this street. But as they turned to leave, one of the younger men, a skinny guy with nervous eyes, pointed at the closet. Boss, should we check? I said get out. Jin-Ho roared, and his voice was so full of rage and power that even the scarred man flinched. The men left quickly, their footsteps loud on the stairs. Jin-Ho waited. He counted to 60 in his head, listening to the sounds of the men searching downstairs, then finally leaving through the front door. He heard car engines starting, driving away. Only then did he move to the closet and open the door. Min-Seo and Amara stumbled out, both breathing hard. Between them, the mysterious man was still unconscious, his head hanging forward. Get him back on the bed, Jin-Ho ordered. And then you're going to tell me everything. And I mean everything, Min-Seo. No more lies. The woman laid the man on the bed carefully. Jin-Ho finally got a good look at him. He was young, maybe 24 or 25 years old. Chinese, like the scarred man had said. He had a handsome face, but it was covered in bruises, purple and black marks on his cheeks and around his eyes. His lip was split and swollen. Someone had beaten him badly. Who is he? Jin-Ho asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Min-Seo sat down on the edge of the bed, her whole body shaking. Tears were streaming down her face again. His name is Chen Wei, she whispered. And he's my brother. Jin-Ho felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. You're what? My half-brother, Min-Seo said quickly. From my mother's first marriage. Before she married my father. Before she came to Korea. Jin-Ho's mind was spinning. You told me you were an only child. You said. I lied. Min-Seo shouted, then covered her mouth, scared of being too loud. I lied, she said again softer. Because my mother made me promise. She made me swear to never tell anyone about Chen Wei. About her life in China before Korea. About everything. Jin-Ho sat down heavily in the chair by the window. Start from the beginning. Now. Min-Seo took a shaky breath. My mother, before she was Park Min-young, she was Lu Meiling. She lived in Shanghai. She was married to a man named Lu Han, a very dangerous man. A gang leader. A gang leader, Jin-Ho repeated slowly. Yes. They had a son, Chen Wei. But my mother, she wanted to escape that life. So when Chen Wei was only 2 years old, she ran away. She came to Korea, changed her name, married my father, and had me. She left everything behind, including her son. Jin-Ho looked at the unconscious man on the bed. So this is your mother's son from China. And those men downstairs. We're from the Black Serpent Gang, Amara said quietly. Chen Wei's father, Lu Han, he died 3 years ago. Now Chen Wei's uncle runs the gang. Uncle Chen Bao. And he's a monster. How do you know all this? Jin-Ho turned to look at Amara suspiciously. Amara met his eyes without fear. Because I used to work for them, Mr. Jin-Ho. In Shanghai. I wasn't a maid, I was a translator. The Black Serpent Gang does business in Africa, and they needed someone who spoke English and Swahili. That's how I met Chen Wei. The pieces were starting to fit together in Jin-Ho's mind, but he didn't like the picture they were making. Keep talking, he said. Amara nodded. Chen Wei he's a good person, Mr. Jin-Ho. Not like his uncle. Not like the gang. He hated what they did. The drugs, the violence, the way they hurt innocent people. 2 months ago, he tried to leave. He told his uncle he wanted out. Let me guess, Jin-Ho said coldly. His uncle didn't like that. His uncle beat him, Amara said, and her voice was angry now. Beat him so badly he almost died. Then Chen Bao locked him up and said if Chen Wei tried to escape again, he would kill him slowly. Very slowly. Min-Seo was crying harder now. Chen Wei found a way to send me a message. Through a friend who knew how to find me. The message said, I know who you are. I know you're my sister. Please help me. I want to meet our mother before I die. So you decided to rescue him, Jin-Ho said. Without telling me. Your husband. How could I tell you? Min-Seo looked up at him, her eyes red and swollen. You're a mafia boss too. You would have said it was too dangerous. You would have said no. But he's my brother, Jin-Ho. My brother. And my mother is dying. Jin-Ho froze. What? My mother has cancer, Min-Seo whispered. Stage 4. The doctors say she has maybe 3 months left. Maybe less. And all she talks about is Chen Wei. Her son. The baby she left behind. She cries every night, Jin-Ho. She says she can't die without seeing him one more time. Without saying sorry. The room was silent except for Min-Seo's quiet crying. Jin-Ho felt something strange in his chest. Was it sympathy? He pushed it away. Emotions made you weak. Emotions got you killed. So you hired Amara, Jin-Ho said, looking at the maid. Not as a maid. As a what? A spy? A helper? Amara nodded. Chen Wei and I were friends in Shanghai. When Mrs. Min-Seo found me and told me her plan, I agreed to help. We spent 2 months planning everything. How to get Chen Wei out. Where to hide him. How to bring him to Korea. And it worked, Jin-Ho said. Until today. We drugged him, Amara explained. To get him through the Chinese border and onto the plane, we gave him medicine to make him sleep. Strong medicine. He's been unconscious for 18 hours now. He should wake up soon. But someone betrayed you, Jin-Ho said. Someone told the Black Serpent Gang where to find him. Min-Seo and Amara looked at each other, fear in their eyes. We don't know who, Min-Seo whispered. We were so careful. So careful. But somehow they found out. They tracked him here. And if they find him... She looked at her brother's bruised face. Chen Bao will torture him to death. Slowly. To make an example of him. To show everyone what happens when you betray the gang. Jin-Ho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was starting to set. His quiet, perfect, organized life had just exploded into chaos. A dying mother. A secret brother. A Chinese gang hunting for blood in his city. In his home. He should be angry. He should throw them all out and let the Black Serpent Gang take Chen Wei. It wasn't his problem. But when he turned around and looked at Min-Seo, really looked at her, he saw something he hadn't seen in months. He saw the woman he'd fallen in love with. The real woman, not the cold stranger she'd been pretending to be. The men will come back, Jin-Ho said quietly. The Black Serpent Gang won't give up. They'll search every house on this street. Every house in this neighborhood. And next time, they won't be so easy to chase away. I know, Min-Seo whispered. I'm sorry, Jin-Ho. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to drag you into this. I just wanted to help my brother. I wanted to give my mother peace before she dies. Jin-Ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Taeyong, he said when his assistant answered. I need you to do something for me. And I need you to do it quietly. Suddenly, Chen Wei groaned. All three of them turned to look at the bed. The young man's eyes were fluttering. His fingers were moving. He's waking up, Amara said, rushing to his side. Chen Wei's eyes opened slowly. They were confused at first, looking around the unfamiliar room. Then they landed on Min-Seo. Are you? He whispered, his voice rough and broken. Are you my sister? Are you Lu Meiling's daughter? Min-Seo nodded, tears falling on Chen Wei's hand as she grabbed it. Yes. Yes, I'm Min-Seo. I'm your sister. You're safe now. You're. Crash. The sound of breaking glass came from downstairs. Then voices. Angry voices. More than before. Search everything. He's here. I know he's here. Jin-Ho recognized that voice. It was the scarred man, back with more men. And this time, they weren't asking permission. Amara's face went pale. They're going to search the whole house. They'll find him. They'll find us all. Chen Wei tried to sit up, panic in his eyes. No, I won't let them hurt you. I'll go down. You'll do nothing, Jin-Ho said firmly. He looked at Min-Seo. How much does your brother mean to you? Everything, Min-Seo said without hesitation. He's my family. And your mother? You really want to give her peace. More than anything. Jin-Ho nodded slowly. He'd made his decision. Then hold on tight, he said. Because we're about to make the Black Serpent Gang very, very angry. The footsteps were on the stairs now. Coming closer. Closer. Jin-Ho pulled out his gun and checked the bullets. What are you going to do? Amara whispered. Jin-Ho smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator about to hunt. I'm going to show them why nobody, and I mean nobody, breaks into the Chongsu boss's home and lives to tell about it. The bedroom door burst open for the second time that day. But this time, Jin-Ho was ready. The scarred man burst through the door with 8 men behind him this time. All of them had guns pointed forward. But they stopped dead when they saw Jin-Ho. He was standing in the middle of the bedroom, his gun hanging loosely in his right hand, pointed at the floor. Behind him, Min-Seo, Amara, and Chen Wei were frozen like statues. You came back, Jin-Ho said calmly. That was a mistake. The scarred man's face twisted with anger. You lied to me. The boy is here. I didn't lie, Jin-Ho said. I told you to leave my house. You chose to come back and break my window. That means you chose to die. There are 9 of us and 1 of you, the scarred man shouted. You think? Jin-Ho raised his gun so fast it was just a blur. Bang! The bullet hit the wall right next to the scarred man's head, so close it cut through a few strands of his hair. Every man in the room froze. That was a warning, Jin-Ho said quietly. The next bullet goes between your eyes. Now, let me explain something to you. This is Seoul. This is my city. You're Chinese gang members operating on Korean soil without permission. That makes you criminals. And in Korea, I have friends everywhere, police, judges, politicians. One phone call from me, and you'll all be in prison by morning. The scarred man's hand was shaking, but he kept his gun pointed at Jin-Ho. Our boss Chen Bao won't care about your Korean connections. He wants his nephew back. And he will get him back. Your boss can want whatever he likes, Jin-Ho said. But Chen Wei is under my protection now. He stays here. You're protecting him? The scarred man looked shocked. Why would you? Because he's my wife's family, Jin-Ho interrupted. And nobody, not you, not your boss, not anyone, touches my wife's family. That's the rule. Min-Seo gasped behind him. She hadn't expected Jin-Ho to say that. The scarred man laughed, but it was a mean, ugly sound. You're making a huge mistake, Jin-Ho. Chen Bao will come for the boy. And when he does, he'll burn your whole life to the ground. Your house. Your business. Your wife. Everything. Jin-Ho's eyes went ice cold. Then tell Chen Bao to come. I'll be waiting. But you. He pointed his gun directly at the scarred man's chest. You won't be alive to see it. Get out. Now. Before I change my mind about letting you leave. For a long, tense moment, nobody moved. Then the scarred man slowly lowered his gun. He nodded to his men, and they backed toward the door, their weapons still raised. You're a dead man, Jin-Ho, the scarred man said from the doorway. You just started a war you can't win. I've won worse wars, Jin-Ho replied. Now disappear before I decorate my walls with your blood. The men left, their footsteps heavy and angry on the stairs. Jin-Ho waited until he heard the front door slam, and car engines roared to life outside. Only then did he lower his gun. Min-Seo ran to him and threw her arms around him. Jin-Ho, why would you protect him? You could have just given Chen Wei to them. Now they'll come after you. After the us. Jin-Ho gently pushed her away. Get Chen Wei ready to move. We're leaving this house in 10 minutes. What? Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Jin-Ho pulled out his phone and made another call. Taeyong, bring the van to the back entrance. Yes, the secure one. We have passengers who need protection. And Taeyong? Bring guns. Lots of guns. He hung up and turned to Amara. Can Chen Wei walk? Amara checked on the young man, who was sitting up now, looking confused and scared. Yes, but he's still weak from the drugs. He'll need help. Then help him. We leave in 8 minutes. Chen Wei spoke for the first time, his voice shaky. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Why would you risk your life for a stranger? Jin-Ho looked at the young man for a long moment. He saw the bruises, the fear in his eyes, but also something else, dignity. Despite everything, Chen Wei had dignity. Because you're Min-Seo's brother, Jin-Ho said simply. And because I know what it's like to want to escape from a life you didn't choose. Now stop asking questions and start moving. They rushed downstairs. Jin-Ho grabbed some clothes, money, and documents from his safe. Min-Seo packed a bag with medicine and food. Amara helped Chen Wei down the stairs, supporting his weight. Exactly 8 minutes later, a black van pulled up to the back gate of the house. Taeyong jumped out, his face worried. Boss, what's happening? Why do we need? He stopped when he saw Chen Wei. Who's that? Family, Jin-Ho said shortly. Don't ask questions. Just drive. They all piled into the van. Taeyong drove fast through the Seoul streets while Jin-Ho sat in the passenger seat, watching the mirrors for any cars following them. Where are we going? Min-Seo asked from the back seat. To the warehouse in Gangnam, Jin-Ho said. It's secure. No one knows about it except Taeyong and 2 other men I trust with my life. The warehouse was in an industrial area, surrounded by other buildings that looked abandoned. But inside, it was clean and well-equipped. Jin-Ho used it for special meetings that couldn't happen in public. They went inside quickly. Jin-Ho locked the heavy metal door behind them and turned on the lights. The main room had a table, chairs, and some old couches. There was a bathroom in the back and a small kitchen area. Not comfortable, but safe. Chen Wei collapsed onto one of the couches, breathing hard. Amara brought him water and some painkillers. Min-Seo sat down next to her brother and held his hand. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Sorry you had to go through all this. Sorry it took so long to find you. Sorry. Don't be sorry, Chen Wei said, and he actually smiled a little despite his swollen lip. You saved my life. You and Amara. I thought I would die in that prison in Shanghai. I thought I'd never see the sky again. But you came for me. My sister came for me. Min-Seo started crying again, and this time they were happy tears mixed with the sad ones. Jin-Ho watched them from across the room, his face unreadable. Taeyong came up beside him and spoke quietly. Boss, I don't understand. Why are we protecting him? This could destroy everything we've built. The Chinese gangs. I know the risks, Jin-Ho interrupted. Then why? Jin-Ho was quiet for a moment. Because Min-Seo asked me to. Because it's the right thing to do. And because... He paused. Because I'm tired of only doing things for money and power. Maybe it's time I did something for my family instead. Taeyong looked shocked. He'd worked for Jin-Ho for 7 years and had never heard him talk like this. Boss, are you feeling okay? Jin-Ho almost smiled. No. I think I'm going crazy. But we're committed now. So we see it through to the end. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Jin-Ho's face went hard when he read it. What is it? Taeyong asked. Read it. Jin-Ho handed him the phone. The message said, Jin-Ho of Changsu. Chen Bao here. You have something that belongs to me. Return Chen Wei in 24 hours, or I will kill everyone you love. Starting with your wife's mother. The one dying in Busan Hospital, room 304. I have men there right now. Tick-tock. The blood drained from Jin-Ho's face. No, Min-Seo whispered. She'd been listening. No. My mother. They'll kill my mother. Chen Wei tried to stand up. Then give me back to them. I won't let an innocent woman die because of me. I won't. Sit down. Jin-Ho roared, and everyone went silent. Nobody's giving you back. And nobody's touching Min-Seo's mother. But how can we? Min-Seo started. Taeyong, Jin-Ho said calmly, though his eyes were blazing with fury. Call Director Park at Busan Hospital. Tell him we need to move a patient immediately. Room 304. Full security. Move her to our private facility in the countryside. Boss, that will take hours to arrange. Then you have 1 hour. Not 2. 1. Make it happen. Taeyong nodded and pulled out his phone, already dialing. Jin-Ho turned to Amara. You said you worked for the Black Serpent Gang. You know their operations, their methods, their weaknesses. Amara nodded slowly. Yes, but. No buts. I need everything you know about Chen Bao. How he thinks. How he operates. Who his enemies are. Everything. Why? Amara asked, though she already knew the answer. Jin-Ho's smile was cold and dangerous. Because we're not going to wait for him to come after us. We're going to hit him first. Hard. Before he even knows what's happening. Chen Wei shook his head. You don't understand. Uncle Chen Bao, he's not like other gang leaders. He's smart. Careful. Paranoid. He has guards everywhere. You can't just attack him. I'm not going to attack him, Jin-Ho said. I'm going to destroy him. His business. His reputation. His power. By the time I'm done, the Black Serpent Gang will have nothing left. And Chen Bao will be begging me for mercy. Min-Seo looked at her husband like she was seeing him for the first time. Jin-Ho, this could destroy you. Your business. Everything you've worked for. Why would you? Jin-Ho crossed the room and knelt down in front of her, taking her hands in his. Because you're my wife, Min-Seo. And I've been a terrible husband. Cold. Distant. More focused on business than on you. But today I remembered why I married you. Not because you were beautiful. Not because you came from a good family. But because when I looked into your eyes 5 years ago, I saw someone who made me want to be better than I was. Tears rolled down Min-Seo's cheeks. Jin-Ho, I can't promise I'll survive this, Jin-Ho continued. Chen Bao is powerful. But I can promise that I'll fight with everything I have to protect you and your family. That's what a real husband does. Min-Seo threw her arms around him, sobbing into his shoulder. Taeyong finished his phone call and came over. Boss, it's done. Director Park is moving the patient right now. She'll be in the secure facility within 2 hours. But, he hesitated. But what? Chen Bao's men tried to stop the move. There was a fight at the hospital. 2 of his men are dead. The police are involved now. Jin-Ho stood up. Good. Let the police deal with them. That's 2 fewer men we have to worry about. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Chen Bao. You move the mother? Smart. But I have other ways to hurt you, Jin-Ho. Many other ways. Your time is running out. 23 hours left. Jin-Ho showed the message to everyone in the room. What do we do? Amara asked quietly. Jin-Ho looked at each of them. His frightened wife, her wounded brother, the brave maid, and his loyal assistant. We will go to war, he said simply. Amara, start talking. Tell me everything about Chen Bao. Taeyong, call our allies. Everyone who owes me favors. Everyone who has reason to hate Chinese gangs operating in Korea. We're going to need an army. And what about Chen Wei? Min-Seo asked, squeezing her brother's hand. Jin-Ho looked at the young man. Tomorrow morning, you're going to meet your mother. You're going to tell her you forgive her for leaving you. You're going to give her peace before she dies. Because that's why we're doing all this. Not for revenge. Not for power. For my family. Chen Wei's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you. Jin-Ho nodded once, then turned away to hide whatever emotion was on his face. Outside, the sun had set completely. Seoul was dark except for a million lights from buildings and streets. Somewhere out there, Chen Bao was planning his revenge. But Jin-Ho was planning something bigger. Something that would change everything. The war between the Chongsu group and the Black Serpent Gang was about to begin. Morning came too quickly. Jin-Ho hadn't slept at all. He'd spent the entire night making phone calls, planning, thinking about every possible way Chen Bao might attack. At 6 a.m., Taeyong came in with coffee and news. Boss, your mother-in-law is safe at the facility. The doctors say she's stable. And, he paused. She's asking to see Chen Wei. She knows he's here in Korea. Jin-Ho looked over at the couch where Chen Wei was sleeping, finally peaceful after Amara gave him stronger medicine for his pain. Min-Seo was curled up beside him, her head on his shoulder, also asleep. Wake them, Jin-Ho said. It's time. An hour later, they were in 2 separate cars driving toward the countryside facility where Min-Seo's mother was staying. Jin-Ho had 12 armed men with them, 6 in each car, all trained fighters he trusted completely. Chen Wei sat in the back seat, nervous and quiet. He kept touching his face, wincing at the bruises. Does it hurt much? Min-Seo asked gently. Not as much as my heart, Chen Wei said softly. I'm about to meet the mother who left me 30 years ago. The mother I thought was dead. How am I supposed to feel? Min-Seo took his hand. However you feel it is right. There's no wrong way to feel about this. They arrived at the facility, a beautiful private hospital hidden among trees and gardens. It looked more like a luxury hotel than a medical building. Inside, Director Park was waiting. He was an older man with kind eyes and gray hair. Mr. Jin-Ho. Mrs. Min-Seo. Everything is ready. Your mother is in the garden suite. She's very weak, but she insisted on getting out of bed to meet her son. They walked down a quiet hallway and stopped outside a door with a window looking into a beautiful room filled with flowers and sunlight. Through the window, Jin-Ho could see an older woman sitting in a wheelchair by the window. She was thin, so thin, with gray hair and tired eyes. But when she turned and saw them approaching, her whole face changed. She looked younger suddenly. Hopeful. Alive. That's her, Min-Seo whispered to Chen Wei. That's our mother. Chen Wei's legs seemed to stop working. He just stood there, staring through the window at the woman who'd given birth to him and then disappeared from his life. I can't, he whispered. I can't do this. What if she doesn't? The door opened. The old woman, Park Min-Young, once known as Lu Meiling, wheeled herself closer to the doorway. Tears were already streaming down her face. Chen Wei, she said in Chinese, her voice cracking. My baby? My son? Is it really you? Chen Wei made a sound, half sob, half gasp, and then he was moving, falling to his knees in front of the wheelchair, burying his face in his mother's lap. Mama, he cried in Chinese. Mama, I looked for you. For so many years, I looked for you. Why did you leave me? Why? The old woman stroked his hair with shaking hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, my precious boy. I was young and scared. Your father, he was a monster. He hurt people. Killed people. I knew if I stayed, you would become like him. I thought if I left, maybe you could have a different life. A better life. But I didn't. Chen Wei looked up at her, his face wet with tears. I became exactly what you feared. I grew up in the gang. Uncle Chen Bao raised me to be a killer. Everything you ran away from. I became it anyway. No, the old woman said firmly, cupping his bruised face in her hands. No, my son. You're not a killer. I can see it in your eyes. You have a good heart. That's why you tried to escape. That's why your sister found you. Because deep inside you're good. You're my son, not your father's. Min-Seo was crying too, watching her mother and brother meet for the first time in 3 decades. Jin-Ho stood back, giving them space, but his hand never left his gun. Even here, even in this emotional moment, he was on guard. They talked for an hour. The old woman told Chen Wei stories about his childhood, memories she'd carried for 30 years. Chen Wei told her about his life, the pain, the loneliness, but also the small happy moments. Finally, the old woman looked tired. Director Park gently suggested she rest. Wait, she said, reaching for both her children's hands. Min-Seo. Chen Wei. Promise me something. Anything, Mama, Min-Seo said. Promise me you'll take care of each other. Your family. Blood. Nothing is more important than family. Promise me. I promise, they said together. The old woman smiled, and for a moment, she looked almost young again. Good. Then I can rest now. I can finally rest. She closed her eyes, still holding their hands. Jin-Ho's phone vibrated. A text message. His face went hard when he read it. We need to go, he said quietly. Now. What? Why? Min-Seo asked. Because Chen Bao just sent me a video. And you need to see it. They went to a private room. Jin-Ho played the video on his phone. Chen Bao appeared on the screen. A cruel-looking man in his 50s with cold eyes and a thin smile. Behind him stood at least 20 armed men. Jin-Ho, Chen Bao said in Chinese, with Korean subtitles appearing automatically. You think you're clever. Moving the old woman. Hiding my nephew. But you made one mistake. You forgot that I have people everywhere. Even in Korea. Even in your organization. Jin-Ho's blood went cold. That's right, Chen Bao continued. One of your trusted men works for me. Has worked for me for 2 years. And right now, he's telling me exactly where you are. So here's what's going to happen. In exactly 30 minutes, my men will arrive at that facility. They will take Chen Wei. And if you try to stop them, Well, the video will show you what happens to people who cross me. The camera panned to show 3 people tied to chairs, badly beaten. Jin-Ho recognized them. They were minor members of his organization. Good men. Loyal men. Chen Bao walked behind them with a knife. Say goodbye, Jin-Ho. The video went black before showing what happened next, but Jin-Ho could imagine it perfectly. No, Min-Seo whispered. No, this can't be. There's a traitor, Jin-Ho said, his voice deadly calm. Someone in my organization told Chen Bao where we are. We have maybe 25 minutes before his men arrive. Taeyong burst into the room. Boss, I just got word. A convoy of vehicles is heading this way. At least 6 cars. Armed men. They'll be here in 25 minutes, I know. Jin-Ho turned to Chen Wei. This ends now. One way or another. Then let me go to them, Chen Wei said, standing up. I'll surrender. I won't let anyone else die because of me. No. Min-Seo grabbed her brother's arm. I didn't save you just to lose you again. Your sister's right, Jin-Ho said. You're not going anywhere. Because I have a plan. What plan? Amara asked. Jin-Ho smiled, but it was a dangerous smile. The plan where we turn Chen Bao's trap into our trap. Taeyong, get all our men inside the building. Lock every door except the main entrance. I want Chen Bao's men to come through only one door. Boss, that's suicide. If they all come through at once. They won't, Jin-Ho interrupted. Because they think they're walking into an easy capture. They don't know we're ready for them. And they don't know about the surprise I've arranged. He made a quick phone call, speaking in code words that no one else understood. When he hung up, he looked at everyone. In 15 minutes, the Korean National Police SWAT team will arrive. I called in every favor I had. Told them there's a Chinese gang invasion happening on Korean soil. They're coming in hot and ready to arrest everyone. But won't they arrest the US too? Min-Seo asked. No, because officially we're the victims. Chen Bao's men attacked our facility. We were just defending ourselves. Jin-Ho checked his gun. But we need to hold them off for 15 minutes until the police arrive. Can we do that? Taeyong nodded slowly. With our 12 men against their 20? It'll be close. But yes, we can do it. Then let's get ready. They moved quickly. Jin-Ho's men took positions throughout the building, on the stairs, behind doors, watching windows. Min-Seo, Amara, and Chen Wei were locked in a secure room deep inside the facility with Director Park and the patients. Jin-Ho stayed at the main entrance with Taeyong and 4 other men. They waited. 10 minutes passed. Then they heard it, car engines. Lots of them. Through the windows, Jin-Ho saw 6 black cars pull up. Men poured out, all carrying weapons. He counted 19, no, 20 men. All wearing black. All looking mean and ready. And leading them was the scarred man from before. The scarred man walked up to the front door and pounded on it. Jan Cho, we know you're in there. Send out Chen Wei, and maybe we'll let the rest of you live. Jin-Ho opened the door slowly. He stood there alone, his gun in his hand but pointed at the ground. You want Chen Wei? Jin-Ho asked calmly. Come and take him. The scarred man smiled. Gladly. He waved his men forward. They rushed toward the entrance. That's when Jin-Ho's men opened fire. Bang, bang, bang. Bullets flew from windows, from doorways, from hidden positions. 3 of Chen Bao's men went down immediately. The others scattered, diving behind cars and trees. Take cover, the scarred man screamed. A battle erupted. Bullets smashed through windows. Cars exploded. Men shouted and screamed. Jin-Ho fought like a demon, his gun never missing. Years of experience in gang warfare had made him deadly accurate. But Chen Bao's men were trained too. They pushed forward, slowly gaining ground. One of Jin-Ho's men fell, shot in the shoulder. Then another, hit in the leg. Boss! Taeyong yelled. We can't hold them much longer. Jin-Ho checked his watch. 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. But the scarred man had gotten inside the building somehow. Jin-Ho saw him running toward the hallway where Min-Seo and the others were hiding. No! Jin-Ho chased after him, leaving the front entrance. He caught up to the scarred man outside the secure room. They both raised their guns at the same time. You lose, the scarred man said, smiling. Behind Jin-Ho, more of Chen Bao's men appeared, surrounding him. Jin-Ho was trapped. But then he smiled. No, you lose. Suddenly, the entire building was filled with a loud voice. This is the Korean National Police. Drop your weapons. You are surrounded. Red and blue lights flooded through every window. The police had arrived early. Chen Bao's men hesitated, confused. That 1 second of hesitation was all Jin-Ho needed. He shot the scarred man in the shoulder, spun, and shot 2 more men behind him before diving through a doorway. "Drop your weapons," the police voice shouted again. This time, Chen Bao's men listened. One by one, they dropped their guns and put their hands up. It was over. 2 days later, Jin-Ho sat in his office, reading the news on his tablet. The headline read, "Major Chinese gang broken up in Korea. Leader Chen Bao arrested in Shanghai." It turned out that when the Korean police arrested Chen Bao's men, they found evidence of all kinds of crimes: drug trafficking, human smuggling, murder. They shared this evidence with Chinese authorities. Chen Bao was now in a Chinese prison, awaiting trial. The Black Serpent Gang was finished. The door opened, and Min-Seo came in with tea. She set it on his desk and kissed his cheek. "How's your brother?" Jin-Ho asked. "Good. He's staying with my mother at the facility. They talk for hours every day. She's happier than I've ever seen her. The doctors say she might have more time than they thought. Maybe 6 months instead of 3. That's good. Jin-Ho." Min-Seo sat on the edge of his desk. "Thank you. For everything. For protecting my family. For risking your life. For being a real husband." Jin-Ho took her hand. "I should thank you. You reminded me what's really important. Not money. Not power. Family. Does this mean you're going to quit the mafia?" Min-Seo asked hopefully. Jin-Ho laughed. "Let's not go crazy. But maybe I'll be a little less cold. A little more human." Min-Seo smiled and kissed him properly this time. There was a knock on the door. Amara came in, carrying a letter. "This just arrived for you, Mr. Jin-Ho. From Chen Wei." Jin-Ho opened it and read. "Brother Jin-Ho, I hope I can call you that. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for giving me a chance to get to know my mother and sister. I can never repay you. I've decided to stay in Korea and start a new life. A good life. Away from gangs and violence. My mother told me that family is everything. Now I finally understand what she means. Your brother, Chen Wei." Jin-Ho smiled and put the letter in his desk drawer. "Sir?" Amara said quietly. "What about me? Do you still need a maid?" Jin-Ho looked at her. This brave woman who'd risked everything to help Chen Wei escape. "No," he said. "I don't need a maid. But I do need someone smart. Someone brave. Someone who knows how to handle dangerous situations." He paused. "How would you like a job as my security consultant? The pay is excellent." Amara's eyes went wide. "Really? You'd trust me? You protected my wife when I couldn't. You helped save her brother. Yes, I trust you." Amara smiled. The first real smile Jin-Ho had ever seen on her face. "Then yes, I accept." That evening, Jin-Ho and Min-Seo visited the countryside facility one more time. They found Chen Wei and his mother in the garden, watching the sunset together. The old woman looked peaceful, holding her son's hand. "She's asleep," Chen Wei whispered when they approached. "But she's smiling. Even in her sleep, she's smiling." Min-Seo sat beside her brother, and Jin-Ho stood behind them, watching his strange new family. A dying mother who'd found her lost son. A son who'd found his mother and sister. A wife who'd saved her brother. And Jin-Ho, a mafia boss who'd learned that sometimes the most important battles aren't fought for money or power. They fought for their family. The sun set slowly over Korea, painting the sky in beautiful colors of orange and gold. And for the first time in years, Jin-Ho felt something he'd almost forgotten. He felt peace. The end. Thank you so much for watching this incredible story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel to support our growth. We create amazing stories like this every week, and you don't want to miss them. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought of Jin-Ho's journey and which part was your favorite. And if you want another crazy story, check out our playlist. Thanks again for watching, and remember, family is everything. See you in the next story.